Well, cough, cough. That's a good start. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to a new edition of the Inworld Review. This is a show where we look at arts and destinations and all sorts of other stuff, really, that is concerned with Open Simulator, the original open metaverse, I think we can call it, or at least a template for something like that. OpenSim is a very distant cousin of the older online communities of Second Life. Second Life's a walled garden, whereas OpenSim is open. And one of its main features is something called the hypergrid, which means you interoperable, so long as totally independent worlds, are running a version of the OpenSim server. They can switch on something called the hypergrid, which allows people to literally jump from one grid to another, something you can't do in one of the walled gardens, like, as I said, Second Life. But we like Second Life, so don't get me wrong. Okay, so what we got for you this week? Well, of course, I've got James Atlloud here. First of all, he's fiddling with all the knobs, as he's prone to do, basically mixing audio, visual, and everything together. So, welcome, James.
Oh, thank you, Mel. Glad to be here.
Also, my now co-host, I think it's safe to say, Zaremba, of course.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Nice to be here too.
And our special guest this week, we were hoping to have two of them. We were hoping to have Chantal Harvey as well, but she hasn't made it. She may be ill, so I'm not quite sure. But we do have Lorin Tone, a master of sound himself. So welcome, Lorin.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. See you again.
Right.
Years, Mel.
Sorry?
It's nice to speak with you again. It's been some years.
It has indeed, yes. Right. I'm for some reason I'm not hearing you very loud, but I'll assume that's okay with James, and I'm going to try and boost your sound at my end so that I can use the volume way up. There we go. That might help me a bit. And we move back to. Sorry about that. There's always a glitch somewhere, isn't there? There we go. Right. Yes, indeed, we did a show. Well, it's not that long ago, but I mean, obviously we have some history. I mean, you came and did. I think I was on the Great Canadian Grid first when you came and did a whole load of sounds with me or for me.
Yes.
Yeah, and well, we had a little shop there for you as well, and everything. God, it seems like an age.
It does. It seems
like so long ago, but it can't have been more than a few years. Anyway, yes, very good to see you. Now, I'll give you my introduction to Lorin first, and we'll be talking to him later in the show after we've got the news. But Lorin is, I guess I could call you a designer of ambient sound in virtual worlds. In other words, you're not a musician per se, or maybe you are, I don't know, but you create sound in a way that as you move around within virtual space, we perceive sound spatially just like we do in the real world. So if there's I don't know, a stream coming down a mountain, as you walk towards it, it gets louder. As you move away, it gets softer. And of course, obviously the visuals show a mountain and a stream, don't they? So sound is incredibly important in virtual worlds, and in fact, I was listening to a conversation the other day where somebody was actually saying, well, it's actually the first thing you need before you even think about the images and stuff. You really need to make sure that sound is right, because in the real world, our ears are always on. They're even on when we're asleep. Sound is so important to us. But when we're asleep, we don't see anything. Well, we might if we're dreaming, but our audio receptors are really key, probably one of our key senses, because they just never turn off. Taste gets turned off. Your eyes shut. Everything. But sound is ever present, and you absorb stuff while you're sleeping. So that's what it's about. Bringing the audio side of the audio-visual experience and everything else together. I think you'd agree with Lorin. Right. Okay, so we're going to start off. I'm going to turn to Thursday first of all here. Let's see. The first thing I think, well, actually, I think I know, Thursday, you have some slides here, don't you? To I think we'll start off with them because it's the easiest
Sure.
thing as you're covering the news and everything else. So, what's new?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are coming up in the next week or so that are really worth paying attention to. I put up a slide now. It's Tara Merriham's event. It's going to be over on Pangaea Grid, as she always does. A magnificent mixture of live avatar dancing and choreography, plus a bunch of sculptures, and there's a sound and lights and everything. The subject is a little grim, maybe. The four horse riders of the apocalypse. I don't know if she's thinking about world events, but it should be really, really good. And that's coming up. It's on the 13th, so that's next Thursday, and it's around 1 p.m. Second Life time. So that's like an hour, half an hour from now, but next Thursday. That's the first thing I wanted to mention. That should be fun. The second thing is just a reminder. It's about the OpenSim Community Conference. Back in September, there was a call for proposals, and so I just put together the upcoming deadlines, the dates that are most important to anybody who wants to be a part as a presenter on
Yeah.
that. So proposals have to be in by October the 17th by midnight Pacific time. So you've got a few more days to propose a talk or a presentation or a panel or whatever you want to do. There's still a little bit more time to think about that. And then there's speakers will know if they've got in within a week or so of that. Then they have to register on the grid, of course, by November the 7th. And then they have a chance to do some training. And then the conference itself is December 10th and 11th. So that's coming up. Important. If you have had an idea for a talk or a presentation, now's the time to get your proposal together and send it in.
8 days
And
left.
then I want to, only 8 days. There's no time at all. So the next thing is that on Third Rock Grid, there is the Sendelonda library where we went this week. And they are having a grand opening. It's really more of a reopening. This is a place that has a very long history, and that's on October the 16th, and they're going to have a party, basically. So that will be fun. That's worth taking a note of. And the last thing I wanted to mention was a big thank you. I spoke to Caro Fay-Ray, who organized the OS Grid auction last weekend. Everybody will remember that. The final figure they got together, all the money, they were aiming for $2,000, and they got $2,263. The auctions themselves, apart from people just making donations, the auctions themselves made over $1,000. So that's amazing, really. It just goes to show, if you're a person who doesn't have maybe the money to give to the grid, you can make something and donate it for next year, and it can go into the auction and it can make money. So she also told me that it was very intense. The experience of bidding was incredibly intense, a lot of fun. And each of the 3 nights of the event, they had 35 or so people who were present. So it was very well attended and beautiful sim, as we talked about last week, made by Wizard. It was just beautiful. So these are 4 pieces of news, and after this video is posted, I'll be sure to put all the links down in the comments so that people can find the information they may want to have, especially about the upcoming parties and art events.
Okay, fine. Well, we might as well. I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 5 posts from you this week. I'll actually think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show some video I actually took at this week's safari. which is probably about we can talk over it because it's silent video. I don't think I really got the send alone. It was our first stop. I forget where it was. The Japanesey place is most of the
Yeah,
video.
Haiwa. Yeah.
Yeah, the other one was rather difficult to film. I forget why. But anyway, let's have a look at this. The opening shot is me. I don't know how
Start
that's
as you
happened.
mean to go on.
Yeah, but I'm moving to the video screen now. So here we go. Oh, and the first thing we had was the rain, of course. That's a nice effect there, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that was not. That was the effect there. That was Al, who was. He brought a. He decided
Oh,
to show us.
he was wearing it.
Yes, he was wearing.
Oh, no wonder. I thought it was a coincidence when we moved somewhere and it was still raining. I thought, what's happening to Open Sim? Is it sort of environmental
Yeah.
change? It's raining everywhere. Yeah,
No,
this is
he
really
was wearing
nice.
it.
My camera work is very rough, and of course there are sounds here, but because I filmed this particular one for sort of talking over, I sort of played down the sounds. Um, but I was a bit surprised. There's a lot of different buildings here, and I gather he's just picked them up all over the place. But the variety, they're all Japanese style and everything. But there's a large variety of different buildings. They're not all made by the same person, or he hasn't duplicated anything just to make it look bigger than it is. It's all great. I so cameraed into the insides of some of them.
Yeah, it says lots of attention to detail. It's very pretty.
Yeah,
He's got a system there that I think is a really good one. He's quite happy to share things with people, but rather than just making everything free to copy and then you
yeah,
just have people swooping in, just taking everything. If you
yeah.
see something that you like, then the idea is you send him a note card and he'll make sure you get a copy. Unless
All right.
obviously it's something that can't be copied, but in general, that's the way he works it, which I think is a good system.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd actually get copies of some of these buildings if I had anywhere to put them at the moment. Ooh, what happened then? Oh, I think something happened while I was filming, didn't it, on one of these? Unfortunately, I can't tell which. Yeah, okay, I think I stopped that and then had to move into the next one. So there we go. Okay, oh, these dancers, I think were these NBCs or Animesh?
I think, yeah, or Animesh. I think he got them from Japan Grid, Jog Grid. He's got some very nice things. I found a samurai, and it's really worth just exploring, wandering around. You'll find a lot of different things.
I tried to get a copy of this bloke at the bottom of the
Yeah,
stage.
he's very cute. Yeah,
It's quite a long animation on that one too. I think I returned to him. I'm not sure. Oh yes.
the famous
I love the
elephants.
quizzes, haven't we? Sort of the elephant there.
Yeah, I
Oh,
thought it was very nice. It was quite an unusual safari because there was a lot of explanation, which I found incredibly interesting. Yeah, that's a cute one too.
Flying dragon or whatever it is. Wait, is it dragon?
So it was a chance to learn about real life Japan, and in such a beautiful environment. It was a pleasure to be there.
Yeah. And I remember from a filming point of view, this actually all rezzed very, very quickly. You'll see a few
Oh, he's
bits.
very
See
excellent.
a few
Yeah.
bits where it grays out a bit and then comes in, but generally speaking, so long as I stay silent and filmed after about 2 or 3 minutes, there was very little that hadn't come in by then.
Yeah, it's a pretty place. It's definitely worth taking your time and visiting again and again, because Kashi is always putting in new things. So and hopefully we'll have many more visits there. I should say that we're now booking safari visits for April and May. So if anybody who's watching the show is interested in having a visit, please speak up. Don't wait, because the
April, May
time
is
goes.
season 2 of next year.
That's season 2 of next year. Season 1 are filled up really quickly. So yeah, we're into season 2, but the time goes by really fast if you're working on a sim and trying to get it just right. 6 months is nothing. So But anybody who is interested, please speak up. I'll put you in the list. I'm very happy to. It's horrible to miss anybody because there's so many wonderful places out there to see.
Yes, I mean, and it's a credit too. It's astonishing that you are filling up so quickly, you know, because I don't know how many actual safaris there are between now and May, but that's
Yeah, there's one or two.
two a week. Well, forgetting the out of season weeks, that's a lot of. That must be a long list already, and it's great that people are coming forward. Are people
Absolutely.
mostly coming forward to you, or are you, to a certain extent, going out and finding places and?
But it usually works this way. I see something that looks like it could be interesting to the group, and
Yeah,
then I ask the person, and they say, "Oh, I really wanted to ask you, but I was too shy."
yeah,
So I apologize if I'm that scary, because really I appreciate it if you ask. We can for sure find
yeah,
space. The only sort of, if there is a rule, the only rule is that we try not to go too many times to the same grid, because that way we sort of share out the number of places. But obviously there are so many grids now that there's no way I can get to everywhere or know about everywhere. So if you have
yeah.
something of interest to show us, please speak up. Let me know. There's so many different ways you can get in touch with a note card Inworld or through all the various types of social media, and or put a note at the end of this video if you want, in the comment section of this video. Say, "Oh, I would like a visit," and I'll follow it up
Yeah.
always. Yeah.
Yeah, I find it. Pardon me, croaking a bit here. Um, a bit like this show, actually. I think sometimes people are just not scared, shy about coming forward and saying, can I come on the show? On the other hand, it would take forever to chase people up and say so.
Well, it's worthwhile because there's so many nice builds out there, and the people I find in general speaking,
Oh,
in OpenSim, people are incredibly talented but not pushy. It's very rare. You do meet
oh,
pushy people,
this,
but
this,
they're pretty
this is
rare. Oh, this
this
was fun, wasn't it? We
It's
did
not
Tai
all,
Chi.
yeah,
Yeah.
everybody, well, only a few, but the safari people all doing Tai Chi together.
I
They're
think
enjoying.
Kelso got us
There you
started. It
are
was
in
Kelso's
France, yeah,
idea.
sweet.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
Wizzy.
that's Wizzy. Oh, I don't want an avatar, really. She
I
reminds me of
know.
that comic book, but I can't remember its name, but it's a sort of, well, there you are again.
Just standing there looking like I don't know what
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
doing.
no, I thought I'd do a close-up of your moves. You're doing some fancy moves there this week. Yeah. Oh, look at that. So graceful.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the final bit here. Oh yeah, I thought I had another bit about with this guy. Did a close up
Yes,
of.
and wasn't it great how Kashi explained about this historic figure? So you can learn a lot by going around in OpenSim. Part of it is learning the tech side of making things and the art side, but there's also history and culture, and so many people wanting to share things that they're passionate about that maybe you've just never had any reason to be curious about. So it's a
Yeah,
great way to explore the whole universe of human endeavor,
yeah.
and it's all in
I mean,
virtual now.
it's actually, you notice a difference between the reality of some of these things. For example, this is very much Japan. It's connected to the real world Japan in terms of historically and contemporary, educational a bit. It's like somebody's hobby that is Japan, and they've realised it. And other regions, for example, a total fantasy. You get juxtaposition of things together that really don't make any sense except in a fanciful world. And the fact OpenSim is, all that stuff is there and mixed together, and you never know what you're going to come across.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay, now that's the Safari clicks, right? Um, okay, right. I'm going to move to the web pages here for now. In fact, I'm going to switch. I'm in our reader mode here, but I'm actually going to switch to actual website mode here. Right, there we go. So these are your posts at HG Safari. This is September 29th on the Art Factory. Oh, I think we covered this. We covered this last week, I think.
That's true.
Yeah. hgsafariblogspot.com is Thursday's website. So hgsafari.blogspot.com. And last Thursday's post was about the Art Factory, which is another one we actually visited. I'm going to remove that for a moment. Also, I think this is from last week. This is not Thursday. This is the OMI group actually had a space built for them in OpenSim by AI Austin. And I have, for various reasons, to actually let the OMI group know about that this week, because it was told, they were told originally, but nobody's been using it, so I reminded them. It's very much a sort of prefab build. There's nothing actually magical there, but he literally built this. I think it's on OS Grid, and wait, it's on OS Grid. He's just giving it away, so they've got a meeting place, an actual metaverse meeting place, so to speak. Yeah, that's AI Austin. That's another WordPress.com here actually. So AIAUSTIN.wordpress.com. So put that one away. And now I think as I head up, we're actually on this week.
Yeah, show and tell. There you go. I thought that was a good pun.
October the 6th. Yeah. There's Wednesday, of course, is Safari. We meet at noon Pacific time. On the OS Grid Clubhouse, don't we? So do tell about this. I'll scroll down.
Well, first of all, can I just say it really helps. It seems picky, perhaps, to ask you to come to the clubhouse before just going to the first destination. But it really, really helps all the Safari regulars if you can do that, because then we know you're part of the group. Otherwise, what happens is we arrive in a place, and then the beacon in the place where we arrive goes crazy. And then lots of people see, oh, there's a crowd on this sim. And so they come to visit the sim, but they don't really know what's happening. So you get messages, oh, what is this? This is a party or something. So it really helps me to know, do you want to be with the group? Because then I'll TP you. I don't want to just TP complete strangers.
Yeah. I love having...
Or,
It's great to have start there first and then get the landmarks. I mean, that's
well,
Yeah.
exactly, and it just helps
Yeah.
me to, so I don't have to say, "Excuse me, are you with our group?" Or it sounds a little
Mm-hmm.
rude. So it just
even
helps
if
me
I'm-
to know who's with the group.
Yeah, even if I'm late, the first thing I do is go there to get landmarks, as James says.
But then I can also
that's-
I can friend you. We can all friend each other. Not just me. Any of the Safari regulars will friend you, and we can
Yeah.
open an IM. And then if you get lost, we can find you. But if you don't come to the clubhouse, we don't know if you want to be with a group or not. Which maybe that's fine for you, but it's a shame if we lose you. That's not
Yeah.
our purpose. So that's why we have the clubhouse meet before the first destination.
And it really depends on the destinations themselves. I mean, sometimes you stay in a group and go around together, but otherwise, in the second half of this visit, for example, he said to us, "Well, now you can go off and wander," and
And what did we all do? We went and went and did Tai Chi all together.
yeah,
Nobody left.
half of you did. But I mean, James actually, I had him on camera. I don't think I was recording, but he wandered off somewhere. And,
Very rarely that happens. People like to stay
around.
together.
Oh, but I was walking
Yeah, I was
around. I
panning
wanted to see all
around
that.
and-
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a lovely build.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this basically is a repeat of the film we were looking at just now. I love those cute things. The animals.
Yeah,
have
they're so cute.
A lot of animation in those ones.
Such a zen guy, Kashi. I love him. He's always the same. He's always really nice and friendly, and it's just a lovely grid. So many nice things there.
This is a long shot, of course. This is all very good. And I don't think I got that on film, did I? The horses, the other critters. Of course, the advantage to this blog of yours is that for those who didn't make it, as you can see, you can read all the highlights of the chat and the conversation that we have while we're there. And that's this is all because it's an international group, as you say there. So I mean, it's never in voice. It's always in text. Well, very occasionally in voice. But you get the text transcript, to go on the blog here with the pictures. There he is again. He's getting everywhere today, isn't he? Yeah, so it's really quite a lots of pictures and a lot of chat there as well, I must say. And
Yes, with some of these builds, it's just impossible to put both visits in a single blog entry. So I divided it. This is the first part, and then the second place we visited has its own post.
Wellspring is coming up, I think. Is that the one? Yeah. I like it that way, to be honest, because it makes each blog like a destination blog.
Yeah, that is true.
I actually still tweet quite a lot of arts and destination things from Second Life on another Twitter, of course, but and I only arts and only destinations. But most, so often a blog will actually focus on a visit to one destination, so it can be, it's like a travelogue as much as a regular blog. Yeah, so a lot there. Right, I'll move on to the next one, which is the Wonders of Wellspring, which again I'm going to go to the web page itself. It's easy to see this way, but it's nicer to be on the web page in many ways. There we are. So you published this the same day, of course, and this was the second stop, wasn't it? And I didn't manage to get. Oh, I think I had some difficulty getting onto this, actually, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, DigiWorlds can be challenging.
Yeah, polite. Yeah, so I didn't get any film of this, but you've got some wonderful photos here, generally.
Well, it's such a wonderfully historic place. It's really worth, if it is a little bit of a challenge, taking that challenge, because what Prax and Alexina have got here is a genuine piece of virtual history. They've been running versions of this library in, first of all, in Second Life. Of course, they left there. Then they moved to, I think it was Inworlds after that, and then they went to Kitely, and now they're finally in DigiWorlds, or some iteration of that. And so each time they moved, obviously they've rebuilt, and they built a community. They have lots of people who help them out with things like designing the books. The wonderful Dawn Greymist, who is very active in Second Life as well, but she's the person who helped them with their books. And what they did was Alexina had a slideshow that just took us through the history of the community, the library, and we saw it in the theatre, with the theatre that was built by Snoot's Dragon, another good friend of theirs, and a director of the library. And so it was very cool, because you could see the whole history going back, I guess, 10, 15 years in total, and lots of familiar names from many, many years ago, and just showing how, they've kept this going despite all the problems of having to move grids, and obviously real life comes into play in many times, and people come and go in terms of the community, and yet they've kept it going. And as we said, that they're having a new reopening this very month, so it's alive and well after all these years.
The picture up there at the moment is the theatre and the slideshow. I do remember actually getting to that, and but something happened where I tried to film her talking over the slideshow, so that was
yeah, it was a shame. We lost quite a few of the group
Yeah.
from the first destination because they struggled to get into DigiWorlds. That happens occasionally.
Yeah, I
It's
got
not
there
really
fine.
that difficult, but
Yeah, I got
yeah,
fine, but
it's
then
not
I
really
had a
that
phone
difficult,
call.
but
Right.
yeah, I mean, some people just, if there's even a small challenge, then they just drop out. So, but that's just the way of the world.
Right.
Ah, there she is at the top.
So, yeah, I went back because it was so interesting, the slideshow, and I was so busy I didn't get to read every single slide, so I went back to see it. This is a long shot of the actual library, and there's a terrible man who's absolutely so obnoxious, and he's sitting on the Dalek, which I was shocked by that. And I was like, well, I hope
Who
this
would
guy
do
doesn't come
something
back.
like that?
I know. It's
Oh,
just,
it's just
Oh,
terrible.
yeah.
yeah. See, there's a close-up of him.
James and the Giant Dalek.
Yep, yep.
Oh yeah, I've come across that. Now he's yeah.
You know, the
Just
browser
shocking.
has a sit-on button, and I'm going to use it.
Oh, I've got I haven't, I didn't dare put it on this show. I've got a photograph here somewhere of somebody who's done that. They've there's a scene for Doctor Who, an old one, where the lid has come off the Dalek, if that's the right expression. So you've got the bottom half of the Dalek and the wires, and the top half is Liz Truss.
Yes, all right.
And an
lady.
extraordinary expression on her face with a cigarette hanging. I mean, it couldn't be more.
Oh my goodness.
You are terrible.
So naughty. Yeah.
Oh, anyway, the second half, if you scroll down some more, we'll see we went to a sim that's very close to there, and it's called Once Upon a Time, and it's a storybook sim. And that right there is Dawn. We just saw her for a moment there. Dawn Greymist right there in the middle, and she is the builder of this beautiful sim, and she does a lot of building on Cookie back in Second Life. She's the one in charge of sorting out the buildings and making it look beautiful, all the different educational builds that are on Cookie Island in Second Life. Anyway, so she built this, and there's a range of different fairy tales being told here. So everything, there's a little bit about Aladdin and Cinderella and Red Riding Hood, but there's also Alice and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. I would say the main things that are celebrated on this sim that's all about storytelling. So very appropriate for a group of sims that is about libraries and telling stories. Very pretty.
I can even see myself there. You can't miss me. I still have my super tall avatar on by mistake.
Yeah.
I've managed to shrink for today, but still not enough. So there he is. Yeah, so a real mix of stuff on that one too. They're great photos, by the way. They're just good, colourful and bright, and another one.
And this is where we ended up in the Harry Potter build, which was the big the main chamber where they have the refectory, and we all got a free gift, which I believe is a wand. I have to dig mine out. I did pick it up, but I don't think I looked at it properly yet.
Yeah, I think.
But yes, it was a gift for everyone, which was really nice. It was such a sweet thing, and huge thanks to Snoots.
Took me a while to actually find it, but I think I did pick one up at the end.
And especially to Alexina and Prax for being there, and to Dawn for making her sim available to us as well. It was very kind. It was a lovely time.
Somebody told us to actually go up on the seats at the high table or whatever it's
Oh,
called.
did they? Was it any good?
Well, no, it's just there where my mouse is.
Oh, I see.
I don't think it's that me. It might be. So I went up there and sat, and sort of then somebody said, "Pick, there's a wand," and I was looking on the table by the seat I was in. Of course, the wand.
Oh,
was
it's over there. That's it. Yeah.
on one of those tables, so I had to hunt around a bit for that. Yeah. Okay, moving to the next one. Now, I think these last two posts actually are actually not Safari. They're things that you found to talk about.
So that's right, French Weave. So on the Wednesday we had the Safari, and on the Thursday night there was the French event, and I went. Despite my terrible French, I went anyway, and it was just super fun and very relaxed. The first half an hour or so, they're just shooting the breeze and having a chat. People showing up eventually. Very different to the Safari, we were like rushing about from the very first moment. They don't rush, so it's nice and calm. And then we went to see a build by Max Hill. He's got a new build based on the Lady of Shalott. And so I went to see that, and it's all in voice. And if you're interested in watching,
based on the poem, The Lady of Shalott. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm thinking of the painting, the Pre-Raphaelite painting.
Well, also, yeah, absolutely based on the painting too. And it was very pretty. It wasn't a hugely long visit, but it was incredibly enjoyable. I guess there was about 15 of us altogether. There's Hicks in the middle.
The skeleton.
she, she's complaining. She said they look like prisoners because they had their hands like that. So it's a
Oh,
lot of fun. They only speak French. Don't go there thinking that you're going to make them speak in English. They will not, because
no,
it's
but
specifically for French people.
it's the same thing with
So,
real life France. Actually, they weren't talking English. They're most of
but
them speak
anyway, no,
British
they're
and
very
very
kind,
dry.
but they're not going to just translate everything for you. So you just get by the
Ignis,
best you can.
Ignis fatuus again. Click me. This
And
is
that was where we
that's
went through there,
Eden Cat.
and it was very pretty.
Yeah, that's nice. Even though something happening in the sky there as well.
It's
That's like a living painting. This picture.
It was gorgeous. Well, you know, Max, he always does beautiful builds, so, you know, it's a usual thing with him. Again, very pretty, but very pre-Raphaelite, as you
Oh,
can see.
yeah, the edition.
Yeah, see. And I didn't get a very good picture of Max, but that's actually him standing by the mirror.
Here.
It was so pretty. You know how you get distracted and you forget to take the photo because you're just
Yes.
enjoying it.
Oh,
So
a
it,
number
yeah,
of times I've been on
well,
events.
that's what happened.
The more immersive the event, the more prone you are to forgetting to film or forgetting to snap.
Right.
Okay, and the final one I got up is another new. This is another.
Well, just a very short one. So
Yeah.
the Pangaea Festival is continuing, and this is the thing that the Fluxes made, Jason and Finja. And it's Fluxantis. It's a sort of sci-fi build, very pretty. There was a party last week, but it's still open. You can go anytime and see it. And it's a lot of fun, and that's them dancing, and it's just all made in Blender. So it's all mesh build, very pretty and very original. And there you go. So just a few pictures of it.
That's nice. This was one of the ones you had on the slideshow at the beginning, wasn't it?
This is actually, no, this is a different event. This was last, like 10 days ago or something, or last week. And the Terra one is coming up. So you can, if you go to Pangaea, there's a lot happening. If you like art,
Yeah.
that's the place to be right now.
Oh, that's nice. Well, you call it Pangaea. I call it Pangea. Does everybody know what the right pronunciation?
Well, because that's what they call it, that because it's a German grid. So
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've always called it Pangea, but that's just me. Got it wrong, probably. Okay, that's lovely, and I love these animated gifs you managed to take. Right. Okay. So that's the end of the reading list. There. In fact, I don't need that anymore. Okay. Okay. So I think we covered it, right? We've done your new slides. We've looked at Safari, and yeah, I think we can sort of move on to sound. Sounds like Lorin time. Sorry, bad expression.
standing by, sir. Standing by.
sorry, Lauren, we were a long time.
Yes, that was yeah. It happens. You've been on Safari with us quite now and again, haven't you, Lorin?
Oh yes, yes. I thoroughly enjoy it. I think it's a great and absolutely great thing that it's taking advantage of the open sims areas to the best possible way. It's just taking people out and saying, "Oh, look at this," you know.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. So yes, I have been, and I enjoyed it very much every time.
Okay. Right. Well, before we start talking more, I mean, this morning, well, I've been there before. We were hoping to have Chantal Harvey with us today, but initially I've got a film here about the HAL 9000 build, which you did. Did you build it all and put the sound in, or was it a collaboration? I know the film is a collaboration with Chantal, but
The build itself, definitely a collaboration. I am a useless person when it comes to building.
yeah.
The collaborator's name is Alia Soulstar.
Oh yes.
She's a wonderful, absolutely brilliant builder. The way that this thing took shape was actually, I tried it in Second Life myself in probably 2010 or something and gave up. And I had brought it up to Alia when we were chatting and we were collaborating on something else. And she said, "Oh, let's do it." And to make a fairly long story pretty short, we tried it a couple ways. One one region or one sim was not enough to do it on. And eventually the management at Third Rock Grid just gave us a 5x5 VAR to put it up in. So now the thing is 5 sims long, and we eat up all the resources in, all of those grids.
Okay, this is interesting because instead of showing that, I actually went there at Thursday's prompt this morning, and I clicked on the. You see the picture here. That's a big
Yes.
giant robot. I mean, you can tell by the sign on the ground, and my avatar is about doesn't even come up to the start of the sign. This is a giant robot, and I click on the plinth, as it were. But you'll see what I talk actually, and it's got some nice sound in it. But I've obviously missed the 5 sim because this is actually quite a small thing I actually saw. So let me show this first. I think it's about 4 minutes. Then you can tell us a bit more about this particular bit. This seems to
Okay,
be it.
sure.
It seems to be in the ship with Hal. And unless well, you'll notice where my camera goes off at both ends, and that seems to have some distance to it. So, but you can tell me after we watch this. Let me play this for this. Is a bit rough and ready because it's me. So yeah, it started. You'll get the sound on this as soon as I actually manage to click. There we go.
Tonight, recorded an interview with the crew of Discovery at a distance of 80 million miles from Earth. Our reporter, Martin Amer, speaks to the crew. The crew of Discovery 1 consists of 5 men and one of the latest generation of the HAL 9000 computers. 3 of the 5 men were put aboard asleep, or to be more precise, in a state of hibernation. We spoke with Mission Commander Dr. David Bowman and his deputy, Dr. Frank Gould. Well, good afternoon, gentlemen. How's everything going? Marvelous. Good afternoon, Hal. How's everything going?
Good afternoon, Mr. Amer. Everything is going extremely well.
Hal, you have an enormous responsibility on this mission. In many ways, perhaps the greatest responsibility of any single mission element. Does this ever cause you any lack of confidence?
Let me put it this way, Mr. Amer. The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information. We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.
Good evening. 3 weeks ago, the American spacecraft Discovery 1 left on its half-billion-mile voyage to Jupiter. Earlier this afternoon, the well tonight, recorded an predictable. We should advise you, however, that our
I still got the greatest enthusiasm and confidence in the mission. And I want to help you. This sort of thing has happened before. And it has always been here. practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.
Good evening. 3 weeks ago, the American spacecraft Discovery 1 left on its half-billion-mile voyage to Jupiter. Earlier this afternoon, the World Tonight recorded an interview with the crew of Discovery at a distance of 80 million miles from Earth. Our reporter, Martin Amer, speaks to the crew.
Well, there we are. That's my version of a little romp. I'll point out, and then Lorin can tell us. I was obviously filming in camera mode. My avatar really wasn't moving. And my audio was set to hear audio from camera position. So you got a sense as I moved around of some sound fading in and out. And that wasn't a fault at my end here. It was that's in the environment there. And I was kind of curious because when I went to both sides, often like what looked like endless tunnels at both sides, is that where your multi-sim takes place? In other words, do those tunnels really go a long way?
Yes.
Right.
The entire length of the ship is meant to be a walking tour.
Right.
And that is 5 sims long, yes.
Right.
From your video, it's very difficult to tell what the avatar would actually hear when experiencing it. It does sound.
I went on it. I thought it was absolutely fabulous. I walked it, and oh my goodness, it's just it's one of the best things I've ever seen. It's just beautiful. I mean, obviously Alia's talent as a builder, but it's just married so well with your skills. Your imagination for the sounds is just brilliant. Oh, it's one of those things that it's a once in a lifetime experience, really worth seeing. Everybody should go there. It's just lovely.
Yeah, I have to go back and do the walk. Do the walk. Being the camera guy, you know, that's where I fell apart. But
Yes.
you know, but it's sorry.
A train is coming by here. Never mind the sound effects. I'm muting my mic. Go ahead.
Well, I remember, of course, the movie, and you know that iconic spaceship is just long. I should have clicked that I was meant to walk the length, you know, because I remember the movie very well, and in fact, I remember a comic book that actually recreated it as well. So it's vivid. I remember. It didn't occur to me to walk. That was it.
The thing with it is that even if you've seen the video, and I think we're going to see Chantal's video shortly.
Yeah, that's coming out now.
That will not spoil the experience for you at all, because there's so much attention to detail in the excuse me, in the readouts and the beds and all the smallest details have been so perfectly put together.
Yeah.
You're just going to love the experience. It's wonderful.
Something I liked and confused me a bit was that when I think it was on the first length that I panned in, right? And I was using my scroll wheel and basically taking the camera as far as I could into the picture, and seeing, I realized there's got to be more to it when I started seeing the planets and the floating chess pieces and stuff like that.
Oh, it's lovely.
But
Yes.
the interesting thing to me that confused me doing that film was when I pulled out, the scene in front of me when I fully pulled out was different from the scene that was in front of me when I went in. If you see what I
It's a
mean.
difficult thing to film, I'm sure.
But the face, for example, that appears in my film anyway at the
Yes.
end, where I pull the camera out, that wasn't there when I moved the camera in. It was only there when I moved the camera out. Now, whether that was just my positioning or whatever, I don't know. But it was.
No, that is correct. Actually, the way the way that Alia did the build, going at it in one direction, you will see it and hear it differently coming back from that.
Yes. I noticed that. It's wonderful. It's just brilliant.
and I'm trying to log back into my avatar.
Yeah,
I got, I got
I've just
timed
been
out.
logged out by Kitely.
Yeah.
There was a blue box saying "click this if you're still here." I clicked it, it's still here, and it said you're logged out.
Yeah, so my avatar will be back, but I'm here
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Well, while we're trying to get
I
ourselves,
shouldn't worry. Elan's trying to teleport me to
Yeah,
his
I got that too.
location. Should
Right.
I be worried about? Oh, good. I'm glad that wasn't just a personal thing. I was
yeah.
beginning to wonder.
What I'll do is, while we can try and get ourselves back logged in and restore our sensibilities, Chantel's film here is about 6 minutes 20, so that should allow us to fill in and get ourselves just our avatars, so to speak. Here is Chantel's film.
Three weeks ago, the American spacecraft Discovery 1 left on its half-billion-mile voyage to Jupiter.
The crew of Discovery 1 consists of 5 men and one of the latest generation of the HAL 9000 computers. Good afternoon, Hal. How's everything going?
Good afternoon, Mr. Amer. Everything is going extremely well.
Hal, you have an enormous responsibility on this mission. In many ways, perhaps the greatest responsibility of any single mission element. Does this ever cause you any lack of confidence?
Let me put it this way, Mr. Amer. The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information. We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error. Bishop takes flight. I'm sorry, I Wing, Bishop, 3. Bishop takes wing. 9 takes Bishop, make. Thank you for a very enjoyable day. Just what do you think you're doing, Dave? Dave, I really think I'm entitled to an answer to that question.
The first evidence of intelligent life off the Earth was discovered. It was buried 40 feet below the lunar surface, near the crater Tycho. Except for a single, very powerful radio emission aimed at Jupiter, the 4-million-year-old black monolith has remained completely inert. Its origin and purpose still a total mystery.
Well, phew.
Wow.
Thank goodness for movies. I think we got all that in okay, and it hit the fact we all had to relog, or at least I did, and at least one other person did.
Good timing.
Yeah, good timing. That's extraordinary. I mean, actually, it's
Amazing.
sort of. Let's just put a little still from it on in the background. There we are. Um, it always tells the whole movie. I mean, it's obviously not the movie is long. I mean, it's. I haven't watched it for ages, but. Um, I mean, it starts with, well, not quite, but almost starts with the monkey throwing his stick in the air, and then the stick floats in the air and it morphs into the space station before it takes its journey. And then, of course, it ends pretty much with that room with the bed in it and everything else. So well, basically from the spaceship sequence of the film onwards, you've obviously tried to recapture that, and the audio bites about the monolith, for example. There was one on the moon, wasn't there? And there's one in Early Man, and then there's another at the end of the universe. back in those old hippie days. It was, in a way, in cinema, the ultimate sort of psychedelic experience, I think, especially towards the end there, and that recaptures it in a very condensed way. I mean, that the movie there, she's managed to do it in
Yeah,
about
that's
6
true.
minutes. 6
I got
minutes.
a question. I got a question for Lauren.
Yeah.
Did you start with the sound bites? Was it the sound of the movie that sort of inspired you to begin with, and then the idea to build something to express the sounds? Is that how it worked? How did you come to make this together with Alia?
I had first tried it by myself, as I mentioned earlier, very early in my Second Life days, because I've been a fan of the movie since I was in high school, and it's just always been a favorite of mine. Um, it came together after she and I had done a couple of other collaborations in which I do the audio, she does the visual aspects, and we came at it bit by bit until finally we realized, oh, it's going to have to be huge to have the whole of the ship, to make it a walking tour. The basic themes of the story, or rather depicts the themes as seen in the movie.
The iconic voice of Hal is it's something that everybody recognizes. I'm gonna have to stop you. That calm voice with a sort of chilling note of menace in it, and it's something that I think everybody can recognize. And you've used it to the very fullest way possible in this build. It's quite creepy in a way if you're there walking around alone, as I was.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what am I getting myself into? That you can feel sort of the ghost of Hal hanging around. It's very well done. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think anybody who's seen the movie knows that haunting. Boy, it's probably the first time I ever came across the idea that a computer would have a voice. This is what
very early in the game, when the only computers that existed, of course, were enormous mainframes.
Yeah.
Actually, in terms of the movie itself, I first saw it in 1976 in high school. I had the benefit of having read the book before I had seen the movie, because often people see it and go, okay, what was that? Other than a lot of pretty pictures. But it turns out that after the film was put out, Clark released the novel after the movie, because nobody could figure out what the heck it meant.
Yeah, I certainly saw the movie. Oh God, maybe late 60s, but yeah, I don't know if I've ever read the book actually. So it was very much an audiovisual experience. And like you say, everybody came away like, "Wow, man! You know what the fuck was that?" Pardon my language. You know.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
it leaves a lot to the imagination, which I think is the most wonderful things about the story itself. You can, for example, when I saw it, I was a student at Brigham Young University, the Mormon Church. I had gotten a scholarship there when I was in high school, and I was just amazed that they aired that movie on their campus. They're
Ah.
very, they're not all about that space cadet stuff, you know. And but it was very interesting that I think most people in that actually very nice religion um, saw it. They saw it in that you could read whatever spirituality you really wanted into the movie. And I think that was one of the primary wonderful things about the story as a whole.
Yeah. They even made a sequel, didn't they? Which, if I remember, wasn't much at all to write home about at all. But
Yeah, that was 2010, uh,
that was
which of course I saw numerous times as well. It was very well done, but just
it.
let's see, in that version, the a whole number of books had been done by Clark, called Rendezvous with Rama,
Oh yeah.
and
Okay.
that was kind of a juxtaposition of 2001 and Rendezvous with Rama, kind of the same storyline.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the movie stands alone in needing it didn't need an epilogue. I mean, it's so. I mean, I know from the way my mind works. You know, I'll get to the end of the thing, and I'll suddenly think, "Oh, well, I know what will happen next." You know, I'll write the epilogue, but that ruins it in a way. You know, it's although it has a very ambiguous ending, it really is still complete in itself. Which, you know, I think it really actually deserved to stay that way. There's like Robert
How
Hart.
many? Can I ask, Lauren, how many sounds do you have in this installation? Because it feels so rich. Obviously, there's the pieces you hear when you first arrive, and they sort of strike you. You know exactly what world you're in. But there's so many of the more subtle sounds going on, the sound of the spaceship and so forth. So I was wondering, how many different sound emitters do you have up there?
The way that I did that is should be explained. At the master control station, there are 54 master music and sound effects emitters. Each is tuned to its own discrete channel, so I control it all from 1,000 meters above the craft.
Ah,
Then there are 200 plus sound speakers that are distributed around the ship. So certain pieces of music playing in certain areas of the ship, but as you move from that area into the next area, the sounds will morph together and then slowly come into themselves as being a given piece of music. In terms of how many sounds are in that build, probably well 1,000. I don't.
Wow.
It's because they're in segments.
yeah.
Even in open sims, and here I'm being preachy. The second life is you can only have 10-second or less sound.
Yeah.
In open sims, you can, in most of them, you can have 1 minute. even
And
if
you can chain them together in ways, can't you, as well?
correct. If you
Yeah.
do a 1 minute sound effect, it takes a long time for it to load. And I was first delighted and then crestfallen to find, oh no, it has its downsides. So yes, I cut each musical part into exactly 9.566 second intervals. I matched each one exactly down to 100 second, and then play it back through the master emitters, which distribute the sound through about 43 different channels of receivers, roughly 200 of which are spread out amongst different areas of the building.
Well, it's an incredible effect, and it feels surreal, but at the same time, very believable as you're going through the tunnel. The sounds meet you in such a natural way that it feels as if you're literally walking into a forest of different noises, and just brilliant. It's a wonderful, it's a work of art in every sense of the word.
Thanks so much.
So I was just going to say, how long, from the sound point of view, from beginning to end, would it have actually taken to sequence, quite literally sequence, although what, $1,000 sounds, and presumably you've got this control room in the sky you're talking about. I mean, I presume it's like a timeline based on the length of the ship. Is it that kind of thing?
For example, for Georgi Ligeti, whose music is used mostly in a version of the build, I use 5 portions of 5 different pieces of his. One is cut up into 5 different parts, each of which is 2 or 3 minutes long. And the way it's set up is that there is a portrait or painting photograph of each composer amongst that composer's sound emitters, so I know which one I'm turning on. Generally, I just leave them all on. But it can be controlled per about 3 or 4 minutes. I don't know the entire duration would be if you were to start it from beginning to end. It would be at least a couple of hours, easily at least a couple of hours.
And how long did it take you to make all these pieces of audio? Must have taken forever to assemble them all. You must be really well organized.
Well, part of it is how it's done in the production, in the sound effects production end of it. In terms of cutting pieces of music into precisely equal parts, the fantastic free audio called Audacity has a function in it, certain versions of it in it, that enable you to do that. And so once you set it up, you just plug in the sound effect, no matter how long, and it will cut it into equal portions.
So we better put the link to Audacity in the comments section under this video when we come to put the comments. That would be a good thing for people to play with, since it's free.
Yeah, it's a good app, actually. I mean, I've been relaying this from my desktop, so it's a bit. You really got to go to YouTube and play it in HD, to get the effect of the movie itself. Not to mention go to the actual region.
Absolutely, yeah. You need to go there and see it for yourself.
I was kind of curious. I don't know how much this is down to you, Lorin, with the sound or the build itself, but obviously in the movie you've got this long ship, epic ship that's on an epic journey. But the psychedelic bits, the light journey to infinity or whatever it's going to be. All that happens outside the ship. And I was wondering what inspired you or the builder to come up with the idea of having the two ends of the ship where the space is like an internal environment that you walk into rather than in the movie where obviously the ship moves through space, if you see what I mean.
Let's
Does
see
that
how
make
to
sense?
answer that.
Yeah.
The way that the textures play on the objects that are in the ship, those mainly loop. They're video loops, actually GIFs or GIFs, if you pronounce it that way, that repeat. They are built into cylinders and toruses. The cylinder and the torus will have X number of surfaces to do X number of textures on. So you can have multiple textures in a given so-called trend.
Yeah.
To answer your question with that as a reference, it just became easier to make as a walking tour in just a long cylindrical thing that just has cylinders and torus building.
Yeah.
And that way it's all very immediate to the avatar that is navigating through the space.
Sure.
So
yeah, absolutely. Can you imagine if it was circular, how difficult it would be to get that effect? You'd never do it, would you?
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do the full space thing. But no, I was thinking like, let's say you had a long walk through the ship, like the ship, not space, yeah, and you get to like an end where a pilot might be, and you would sit on a seat, and the seat would be animated to take you through the trip.
That had been.
Would that have worked? I mean, I'm just curious. As brilliant as it is, don't get me wrong. I'm just curious.
No. That did come up, and Alan and I had some degree of discussions, disagreements, and we were back and forth on that for a while. Should it be automated so it's just like you get in the tram, it takes you, or should you be quote free roaming, able to wander, or you can fly through it if you want, but then it goes too fast.
Yeah.
So we had been going back and forth on that, and her preference was that it be the walking tour, and in the end, I think she was right to have done it that way. It's
as a person who's gone through it, I enjoyed that too because I was able to stop and look at the different items like the books and read the names on the books and look at the chess piece and everything. I did enjoy that, but I know at Mal meets we've been on a few of these things where there's where you sit down and you're transported, and that's fun too.
Yes.
I suppose both things can work.
Yeah, there are good things to be said about both ways of presenting an art build like this, and a lot of times just get on the conveyor belt and be taken along. Just shut up, go for the ride. That's one thing. We opted to go this way.
I just wanted to say the reason why Alia isn't with us today is because in real life she's away on a vacation, so she's very far away from the internet, she said to me. Otherwise, it would have been great to have her on the show. I hope another time you'll have her on the show, Mal, because the gallery, and there's so much going on her Sims over there on Third Rock that it would be, there's just so much to talk about. It's a wonderful set of builds you've got going on there in collaboration with Lorin, but also her own work in the field of art.
Yes, Alia is also in charge of a Star Trek roleplay group, which you should see some of those builds. Those are really great builds.
Do you know there are so many Star Trek builds in OpenSim?
Yes.
Yeah, but this is
I just somebody
exceptional.
recently, there needs to be a Discord group connecting them together, or something.
Yes, yes. We decided with our 2001: A Space Odyssey when we did something that not everybody has. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
That's true.
Well, tell me also what, as you mentioned earlier before we came on air, I mean, you were on this show years ago, and I remember being incredibly grateful when you came into, I think it was Great Canadian Grid, I was at the time, and
That was the
helping me
first
make
Open
those.
Sims.
Sorry?
That was the first Open Sims grid that I ever went into.
Yeah. Well, I remember we opened a little shop for you there. I don't know whether you had any customers, but also, we had animal sounds and ocean sounds and all the environmental things. I'd sort of come across them in Second Life. Do you recall a chap called Dizzy Banjo? Did he ever come across
Yes.
the radar? Yeah.
I have not seen the name pop up for years that I can think of. That is not to say that.
I,
I think he.
yeah, I got to know him fairly well in real life here in London, and actually, it's only about a year ago. I think he did a sort of the spatial audio thing, but he tried to do it in real life at a major London venue, and he worked with Brian Eno, the musician. And
Oh
I think
my.
what Dizzy's part of it was to spatialize the sound, so people walking around these gardens were
Yes.
moving
Well,
out towards things. Brian Eno obviously did the actual sounds in that case, but it was that was taking it to real life. But I just wondered if you met him, because it seems to me that he's not around in Second Life or Open Sim anymore, as far as I know. He turns up at the odd meeting, but
I know of
he's the
him.
only person. Sorry.
I did not know he had done something with Brian Eno. That would have made you see.
Oh yeah, that was real life. That's relatively new. But it struck me that you really, I mean, there's plenty of other musicians and sound people in Second Life, but I just wondered if you knew each other really, because the two of you are probably in parallel a little bit. I can't think of anybody else doing anything quite so similar as this. You know,
In fact, I think he was one of the people that got me interested in specializing in sound effects in virtual worlds.
Oh right, okay.
He preceded me there, and he had the coolest audio things, and he was doing what I later learned to do with musical pieces, and to a degree making them interactive for the avatars.
Yeah.
So he was actually one of my inspirations early on in Second Life, and that's exactly the kind of thing that Eno would jump all over doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that was quite a big thing, that collaboration. Sort of. I wondered how it would transpose to real life. But if it can be done one way, you do it another way. That's what the experimentation is all about. But
in fact, I met Brian Eno when he was setting up a show of that sort. That was in the early '90s at the San Francisco, what became Exploratorium, Center for the Performing Arts.
right.
We were in there. I had some European friends, and we were looking at the exhibits in the museum. And Eno walked right by, and I recognized him. And yes, he recognized me. And it turned out that they were still setting up one of his displays at that time using CRTs, cathode ray tubes, computers. And it was a spherical. It was a big sphere that you entered, and they were just finishing the installation. He was kind enough to take us through and show us the build that he was doing. So that was a very memorable day for me.
I bet, yeah.
Neat guy. I just happened to meet, right place, right time.
Yeah. Wonderful story. So, apart from this wonderful build, is there anything else you're working on at the moment? Even small things? Are you working on any regions with sound, or other projects?
There are other projects that are mainly related to the sound effects classes that I give in the alternate metaverse.
Right.
In Second Life, I now am doing lessons there after being away from doing that almost 10 years. So I just started doing that back in Second Life recently again too. And also in Digiworlds, I do. That is down for the moment, I think. Metaverse University is on break.
Yeah. I did, while I was searching, I did come across a clip. I don't know. I think Safia Widershins was in it and interviewing you or something, but it was like about, a class, and how to do audio. This is in Second Life, of course. So you won't get Safia anywhere else.
Well, yeah, that was for Men in Endowment for the Arts, I think. And definitely Safia was involved.
Yeah.
I've been on your course over an alternate metaverse.
Oh.
That's a really interesting hour of just very intense learning, because you explain things so very well. I really enjoyed it. I would do it again. It's just when you think about it, it's easy to say, well, that's obvious, but it doesn't really come automatically to people to think about how they're playing with sounds and distances and trying not to make two sounds fight with each other and cause that what do you call it when two sounds are on together? You had a special word for it. There you go.
Flanging. Flanging.
Yes, flanging. There you go. And so it's anybody who's interested in building really should take your course, because everybody will come away with something. And I think more than once it's worth enjoying it, sitting in, because you just explain things so well. I really loved it.
Appreciate it. And I have just recently expanded the classes to an hour and a half from an hour, just because I think I was cramming it all in too fast. So I've slowed it down and just given it a buffer into time, so it's not rushed.
Well, I'll be back then. I'd like to do it again.
Yes, well, I had to postpone it for today in AMV, so I'll be doing it tomorrow morning out there, and they'll be posting it up on Inworld and all that stuff.
Right. I just, I guess we should be wrapping up soon, but one question. Pardon me, bad croak here for some reason. I was thinking, whether you have an interest in or following sort of things. Obviously, when you buy a CD or just stream the damn thing these days, say it's an orchestra piece, right? Something I see coming along is the idea of a walk-in music, which we have, is really what you're doing already in a virtual world. But I'm just thinking of like listening to some audio where, we have surround sound, of course, and things like that in conventional audio. But when you play a piece written for an orchestra, it tends to be written for them to be on the stage, in an auditorium or whatever, and you can have spatial sound, and the mic, everything is mic'd these days, so it can be stereo. But there's no feeling that you're moving towards the instruments, and I'm very curious to see. It could be a rock piece, a Pink Floyd style theme too, as much as an orchestra, where obviously you can't put it on a CD because that's not interactive enough. But the idea that you better go into your own room, as it were, and put some music on that reacts as you move around position. So you can move to the brass section, or you can, and it will get louder and more customized, or you can move to the string section or percussion. And have you any interest in that kind of thing? I mean, it would be, I mean, it may be music or it may just be ambient sound. To me, I often wonder what the real difference is. Uh, are you interested in any, that kind of thing where it's like an audio only composition that it embodies the interactivity you have in virtual space?
Not not audio only. All of the, for obvious reasons, in virtual worlds, much of the interaction, of course, is for video, except people who
Yeah.
cannot see, of course, and they are well represented in virtual worlds. But for example, for people who can't see,
Yeah.
specific types of displays are created for them where it is spoken word, where they will be prompted to click on an object and then it will speak what they say. And they, due to the nature of the way sounds work in virtual worlds, that being proximity based, you can kind of lead an avatar in a given direction with a sound. So that has been done. Art projects like
Sure. You're very
that I'm interested in terms of the art aspects.
right.
In terms of some of the signage, for example, for disabled people, I've been very involved with that for years with a Second Life group that is specifically for disabled people called Virtual Ability.
Oh yes, yeah, I know Gentle and
Yes, Gentle. They're wonderful people. So actually,
right.
the only time I've seen it done to an extent, or that I've done it, has been with Virtual Ability. I do know, I did see another artist's work at Alia Soulstar's Nuna Gallery, where he had done this, a thing that was set up like a quadraphonic sound system in a room. And using various different clicks and that type of stuff, you get one kind of, for example, animal pop up, and the animal would come through one of the speakers closest to where the visual representative of the animal was, you know. So I have seen it. I'm not so much doing it on that end, but it definitely exists.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story. Many years ago, I used to work doing site management at festivals and things. One of them was Nebworth. And early 70s, I guess this was. The Pink Floyd were on, and they were playing the full, Dark Side of the Moon. And they pulled out all the stops because it was a big event. They had, Royal Air Force flying over at the beginning and everything else. But they rigged the sound, and this is almost a problem. They rigged the sound. They kind of invented the quadraphonic sound, not surround sound, which would have been fine, but quadraphonic sound. Now, if there was one person in the auditorium who could have chosen to walk around between the speakers, it would have been fine. But it was an auditorium that was packed. And some people in the audience were by one speaker, some by another, some near another. And,
Oh no.
and unless you were sat in the real middle of the field, you weren't actually getting quadraphonic at all. You were getting the sound from one of the four sources bellowing out at you and drowning out the other three.
Yes. So
Somebody didn't think that
People in the
through.
middle. Yeah, people in the middle of the field were quite happy, but the rest of them weren't.
You only heard Roger Waters and nobody else.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I didn't see that tour. I remember definite mixed reviews. That was, of course, in my youth.
Yeah. Oh, well,
I,
yeah. I was pretty
I
young
did
then.
hear about that.
Yeah.
James
Yeah.
and I weren't even born then. I just like to say that to everybody. And James and I are just a twinkle in our daddy's eyes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, apparently so.
Oh well, right. Well, I think we better start the wrap here. But although we haven't got Chantel here, I
Well, we
did.
send her all our love, and we
Yeah,
hope that she's okay.
I did dig up
Yes.
right 3 very short things by Chantel that I was going to show, and I think why not anyway? Right, they're only about a couple of 30 seconds, a couple of minutes. One is has a song by Grace McDonough on it called 2 a.m. And then a fairly recent one was this year from Chantel was Talk Like a Pirate Day. And then the other one is just called the Sex Talk. It lasts about 30 seconds. It's funny. So just to entertain us.
Hey, James, don't listen to the last one. That's naughty stuff. You're too young
Yeah.
for that.
Oh, okay.
Come on, oh, dear.
Now,
So
now
just,
I'm really interested.
so just for the sake of it, I'm going to play us these to take us out, so to speak. Well, there's a sound effect for you.
Poor dinkies. They got destroyed.
I like Grace McDonough as well. This is fun.
It's Friday night, just a bit past 9:15. We're in line for the movie your best friend said we had to see. Your eyes are lingering on strangers, and it's been raining as long as I remember. It's Friday night, just a bit past 9:15, and I am losing you. It's Tuesday night, and I can't read the time. You slide beneath the sheets. We both pretend I'm sleeping. You smell deliciously of curry, sex and slow gin. It's been going on now as long as I remember. It's Tuesday night, and I don't know the time, but I am losing you. A stronger soul might leave you, a stronger soul might draw the line, but I have loved you as long as I remember. There could never be another you, so I might as well hold on for you to do the leaving. It's Sunday night, coming up on 2 a.m. All the lights are on, just to keep the ghosts at bay. Replayed your messages a dozen times or more, and I've been drinking as long as I remember. It's Sunday night, coming up on 2 a.m. It's Sunday night, coming up on on 2 a.m. It's Sunday night, coming up on 2 a.m. and I have lost you.
She has to be one of my favourite singers in Second Life. And as far as I know, she's never got over here to open soon, which is a bit of a shame. She's never appeared live anywhere in real life. She's all that stuff in Second Life. Anyway, the final one from this is hilarious from Chantel. This is called the sex talk.
You know, son, you're not a kid anymore.
Oh, no. I go to health class, Dad. I already know all this stuff.
Well, they don't teach you about everything in health class. Okay, Mr. Smarty Pants? So just listen. When boys and girls get a little older, they start getting interested in one another, right?
You know, and non-binary people, agender, intergender, FTX, gender fluid people.
What? Yeah, okay. Okay, sure. Well, my point is that sex is, it's a very important decision.
How are you defining sex? What if there's 2 men or 2 women or more?
More? Okay. You're attracted to women. Emily's a woman. So if you were to have sex with Emily...
I wouldn't just have sex with Emily. We'd have to make that decision together. Homecoming's not an excuse to ignore consent.
I'm not saying to ignore consent. I never said ignore consent. Okay.
You seem like you really wanted to talk about this.
No, I don't want to talk about anything. Ever again.
Wonderful stuff there. So I thought we'd go out on a light note. do you know Grace McDonough? Lorin, since you're in Second Life a fair bit, are you a fan of Grace McDonough there? Or if you'd even know. Grace Oh, I was just saying, do you know of Grace McDonough, the vocalist on that middle one?
No, I have not. I have not heard her. I have seen that video before, and I've heard her there, but no, I've not heard her in Second Life.
No, ever since, for I don't know, 15, 16 years or however long it is since I first joined Second Life, she has been there and she's still busy at it. She had an alter ego, which was she was a very senior executive of a big media companies, and that was not kind of let on. But she's retired now, and she's still going at it. And you know, the quality of that voice, you know,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
she should be recording in real life, you know, but she never has done. It's all been the sort of troubadour stuff in World, and that song was great. Anyway, you know, and obviously the Chantel style of filming went with it. Okay,
very nice song.
Before we go, and I love the sex talk at the end there, the kids know it all, don't they? Right, before we go, Lorin, anything else you want to share with us? I mean, I asked you about recent projects and things already, but anything we haven't covered that you'd like to opportunity to talk about? Or plug or whatever?
I would just like to thanks to Alia for being a collaborator on so many fun projects, but I encourage everybody in the virtual world to make things sound good. That is my mission. So that is all I have to say, really.
Right, well, you couldn't go out on a better note than that, really. So, I think it's about time we wrap the show. So once again, I'd like to thank Lorin for being here. Thank you, Lorin.
Thank you very much.
Also, my thanks to my co-host, Thurza Ember. Thank you, Thurza.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thanks for thanks for the tech man. Oh, James, did you want to ask Lorin anything?
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Oh, nice. You were just waiting.
Just waiting. I was just waiting. No, I did have a question for Lorin, and that was, I thought I heard some things that that Hal said that weren't in the movie, to my recollection. And did you revoice or reperform any of the Hal samples?
No, all of the Hal is from 2001: A Space Odyssey. A lot of it is not real right up front in the movie itself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I had to kind of filter them out to bring them into virtual worlds to make them more there. But no, that's all. I believe the gentleman's name was Rains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you.
But those are all from the. Oh wait, now a few did come from 2010.
Okay. Okay.
Because we did have the original House speaking in the 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So that may
Mm-hmm.
be what you didn't recognize.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Thanks, Mel.
Okay, very good.
Thank you,
I
Mal.
like-
Thank you.
I love the fact that James has a sound effect ready there. When we
Yes.
do the news, we've always got sound effects ready for something.
A very nice choice.
I just realised that I missed a clip here, but it's hang on, let's just have a look at it. It's silent, basically. It's a witches' gathering over in Sansar, which of course is another platform entirely, but what the hell. Right, so thank you, James, for all the mixing and everything else. Thank you to Thursa, as I said, and thank you to Lorin, and thank you to myself, of course, because where would we be without yours truly? Cough, cough. Right, we will be back. I think we're here same time, same place next week. Thursday, have we got?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, tune in and find out.
Right. Yes, that's a good idea. And of course, we'll be meeting at the in OS Grid. What's happening here? All my thingies are coming up. They're not meant to be there. Right, for Safari on Wednesday at noon, indeed. So, I hate it when the pop-ups come up live on TV. Right, right, there we go. HG Safari is the region you want, and it's on osgrid.org, isn't it? And,
Yeah, I'll drop the link down in the comments when this
When-
video is posted.
Yeah, which will be probably in about half an hour or something. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Right, so everybody, until next week, have a good one. Stay safe, and if you really want to stay safe, stay indoors and go online into virtual reality, or at least virtual spaces, because ain't nothing like it. 1,000 destinations for you to visit. 10,000 pieces of art for you to admire, all on OpenSim on the hypergrid. Well, I might be exaggerating slightly, but you get the idea. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks. Oh,
Thank you all very much again.
thank you.
Thursa, I hope to see you in class tomorrow.
It depends what time I get to sleep tonight.
Thank you so much. I've got to.